I think we focus more on white supremacy and less on Arab supremacy, which of course is worse than white supremacy. Let me clarify something. I've got a lot of Arab friends. So I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the system that encourages discrimination against especially black Africans. We don't like to talk about it for reasons best known to us, but the truth is Arab countries are more hostile to black Africans.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Iyano Show KE. Hope you're good, hope you're fine. In case you haven't subscribed here at Iyano Show KE, just subscribe. So guys, we always talk about white supremacy, but now come out with something that is interesting about the Arab supremacy. And we see that most of the Arab have now the people reacting on this story about Arab supremacy, and they are saying that they are giving the relationship or what causes this Arab supremacy, and they have given their views about this Arab supremacy, and they say that we should not focus about the white supremacy alone. Let us talk about this Arab supremacy, and here are some of the reaction of the Arab people reacting on this Arab supremacy, and more so the Muslim people reacting on the whole scenario of Arab supremacy.
I think we focus more on white supremacy and less on Arab supremacy, which of course is worse than white supremacy. Let me clarify something. I've got a lot of Arab friends. So I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the system that encourages discrimination against especially black Africans. We don't like to talk about it for reasons best known to us, but the truth is Arab countries are more hostile to black Africans. Then again, I'm not saying all Arabs, because my best friend is an Arab. But the truth is a lot of you see all Nigerians as scammers. So how do you justify your own bias? And then you fault what I'm saying right now, even though I'm trying to tell you that it's not individual Arabs, it is the system. We have seen videos of 21st century slavery in some Arab countries where on mobile application, people were actually merchandising black Africans. So in this holy month of Ramadan, I'm hoping that the Arab world would look into this dilemma. No human being is superior to another, and a black African is not a second-class human being. Love must be at the center of everything that we do. True love, not hypocritical love that we show in the news.
The Arab supremacy within the Islamic community is clear, obvious and blatant, and I think it's very important that we highlight why it's absolutely disgusting and why it's not talked about enough. Firstly, I must preface this video by saying that this is not an attack on Arab people whatsoever. Some of my closest friends, I even have family members who are Arab. I work and study with Arab people and I absolutely love them. This is not an attack on Arab people whatsoever. Rather, it's a questioning of a system by which Arabs feel as though they are superior to every other race. To give some historical context, at no moment in human history were Arabs ever superior by any stretch of the imagination. The only point at which Arabs could be viewed as superior was during the early Islamic conquests in the 600s, and this was because the Arab Muslims were taking over the Byzantine and Sassanid lands. However, this is not because they were Arab, this is because of Islamic conquest. And the idea that Arabs were greater began to be seen during this period with the early Umayyad Caliphate. However, the reason for the fall of the early Umayyad Caliphate was because of this idea of Arab supremacy and the fact that Arabs were favored in administration of the Umayyads as opposed to non-Arabs, and this led to a revolution known as the Abbasid Revolution in 750. So any idea of Arab supremacy was disbanded after 750 AD and the Abbasid Revolution. Not to mention the fact that the Ottomans, Turks, ruled over the Arabs for over 400 years from 1500s. So where did the modern concept of Arab supremacy come from? Well, like most bad ideas, it stems from colonialism. When the colonialists like the British and French came to Arab lands in order to exploit it for its petroleum, they put in the minds of the Arabs that why are the Arabs being ruled over by the Ottomans, who were Turks at the time, when the Arabs were the race which Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had come to? Why were the Arabs being ruled over by a bunch of Turks? Despite the fact that in an authentic hadith, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said one day will come where the Turks will rule over the Arabs. This line of thought is not because the British or French genuinely thought it, but it was a way of dividing the Ottoman Empire, so they would have a weak opposition and defeat the Ottomans in World War I, and then we'd be able to exploit the Arab world for what it was worth after World War I, as they did with the Ottoman Empire. However, these bad ideas remained within Arab lands. And because of that, you have the modern concept of Arab supremacy, which stems from colonialism. Not to mention the fact that many Arabs today think that because they are simply Arab, that makes them more Muslim than a non-Arab, which is illogical on many scales. Not to mention the fact that within just the subcontinent alone, there's over 650 million Muslims, whereas the population of the entire Arab world, not including just Muslims, is 450 million. But it's not a competition. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have created you in different tribes and nations so that you may get to know one another. And he also says that no Arab is superior to a non-Arab. This displays the fact that Arab supremacy is completely contradictory to Islamic principles and the Quran itself. I think it's very important that we highlight the fact that there is Arab supremacy within the Muslim community and why it is wrong and why it's actually against the principles of Islam. My message to my Arab brothers and sisters is do not feel as though you are superior, as no one in this life is superior to anyone, as we will all one day turn to the grave. And my message to my brothers and sisters who aren't Arab and perhaps from the subcontinent or from whatever other part of the world is do not feel these chains of inferiority, because we are not inferior, they are not superior. We must break free of the chains of colonialism, the inferiority complex or the superiority complex, and unite as one.
I want to talk about the Arab superiority complex.
Hey guys, I just wanted to share this video because I found the comment section in it very interesting. So just to summarize what this video is, which I actually kind of encourage you guys to watch it, but basically what she was saying is that as a South Asian person, she supports Middle Eastern causes such as Palestine. However, unconditionally, she supports Palestine unconditionally. However, she finds it very disappointing that Middle Eastern Arab people don't seem to care about South Asian issues as much. And later in the comments, she kind of clarified that, you know, we too, South Asian people, are also guilty of treating other groups of people badly, particularly like Africans, and that it's wrong, and that we as POCs are supposed to come together and support each other. At the same time, there should still be room to critique some of the toxicity within our communities and the way that they interconnect. And I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, but a lot of people were really upset, and so I'm just really not.
Yeah, Arabs are notoriously racist. First of all, we are racist towards each other. So interracial marriage is very rare, but we all, and I mean we begrudgingly, are all collectively racist towards literally every non-Arab. So if you're black, if you're Asian, if you are South Asian, we are even racist towards our own black people. Like, I am from Libya, North Africa. There are loads of black North Africans. Duh. You know, makes sense. It would, a lot of convincing for my Baba to agree that I marry a black Libyan. This is a man, like, this would be a man from my own country, and it still would be frowned upon. Like, maybe my parents would be a little bit more open-minded because they've lived in Canada and they've seen interracial couples, but they would eat my parents alive back home. And they would say things like, couldn't you find a good Libyan, whatever, boy? Couldn't you, it's such a shame that she has to marry him. Like, it's disgusting. It's deplorable. It's embarrassing also because it's not Islamically correct. Like, I've known girls who have involved a sheikh because their father would just simply said no because her partner was a POC. Like, this superiority that we have as Arabs is really a sickness, because why? Just because the Prophet was Arab and the Quran is Arabic, and like, why? It's internalized, leftover racism that has been left behind by colonizers, that we hate each other. Like, I remember a couple years ago, and this was a while back, a girl who was also Libyan married, I think he was Korean. Anyways, an Asian man, a Korean man that she met at uni, he became Muslim, they got married, and the internet, or at least in like my community, ate her up. This poor girl did nothing wrong, and she became the laughing stock. So I am so sorry for any person who was rejected because of their race, and Arabs we're trash for this, truly.
Went to Friday prayer today, and the Imam said something that really clicked with me, that we see so much in Muslims today. And there are a lot of Muslims who will pray 5 times a day, wear the hijab, do these amazing, mashallah, things, but then in their hearts they'll hold this superiority over other Muslims and think that they're better than them. And that's something that is a big no-no. Like, as Muslims, we've got to remember that humility is at the core of Islam. And just because you are in a good place in Islam right now doesn't mean that you're any better than someone who isn't. And to remember that just because we do good deeds, that doesn't mean that they're going to be accepted. So it's about always staying gracious, staying humble, and never looking down on anyone.
This idea of Arab supremacy stems, like most bad ideas, from colonialism. When the colonizers came to Ottoman lands in the World War I, beginning of World War I, they came with one intention: to separate the Muslim world, to divide the Muslim world, so that it would be easy to conquer and easy to colonize. This is why they planted the seeds that while the Arabs being ruled over by the Turks, despite the fact that in authentic hadith, the Prophet Muhammad said, one day the Arabs will be ruled by the Turks. When Muhammad was an Arab, they sent the likes of Lawrence of Arabia to Arabia to sow the seed of unrest. And this is what happened. The Arabs then overthrew the Ottoman Empire. They launched a revolution. They said that we are more Muslim than you. They said that we are the people of the Prophet Muhammad. Why are we being ruled over by you? This then transcended simply the Ottoman Empire, and it went beyond this. It went to the entire Muslim world. And it didn't help by the fact that many of the Bengalis and Pakistanis who work in the places of Dubai and Saudi Arabia work as taxi drivers and Uber drivers and cleaners. So all the Arabs are seeing in that world are the other Muslims, the fellow Muslims, are not of the same economic class, are not of the same social class as them. And this then grows and grows and grows when you see the Arab supremacy, which is seen so blatantly today in the Muslim community, which originates from colonialism.
So the reason why I talk about this a lot is because, number one, nobody talks about it. Number two, there's no literature on it. There's like one article I found on Al Jazeera from 10 years ago, 2013, talking about racism towards black people. But if anyone can direct me towards any kind of like serious introspection into racism, then yeah, please send it my way. But the reason why I think it's so important is because if that toxic aspect of the Muslim community and the Arab community is not eradicated, namely racism and classism, which is probably more difficult, but let's start with racism, okay? The call for justice is just simply hypocritical, and it will never work for Palestine, okay? So I don't know, it's very basic, but it somehow manages to...
You know, all my life I've seen Arabs get this idea that because Allah revealed the Quran in Arabic and chose to reveal it to the Arabs, that they are somehow superior to non-Arabs. If you're an Arab that feels this way, I want to remind you that in the Quran, every time Allah sends a prophet to a people, it's not because those people are the best, it's because those people are the worst. The Arabs before Islam were so ignorant that they used to bury their baby daughters alive, and they used to make idols with their own hands and then worship them. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, made this very clear when he said, "Verily, there is no superiority of an Arab over a non-Arab, or of a white man over a black man, except in terms of taqwa, or God consciousness." Think of it this way: before Islam, both the Byzantine and the Persian Empire never wanted to conquer the Arabs because it wasn't even worth it. That's how weak they were. But by following the Quran and Sunnah, the Arabs went from this to this in just 50 years. And this is Allah's way of telling us that the Quran can turn the most ignorant and worst people into the best of the best. It's not based on race.
So the next question is, how can Islam be liberated from Arab supremacy? Now, this is an interesting question. If you stop making the Arabs as the all-authoritative people of Islam, that is the only way to stop the Arab supremacy. Because if you are thinking Islam can only be gained through Arabs, then you are wrong, because Islam didn't start with Prophet Muhammad. Remember, Muhammad himself, alayhi salam, was asked to follow the footsteps of Ibrahim. That is the creed of Abraham. We are following the millah of Ibrahim, not the millah of Muhammad. And in Quran chapter 3 verse 95, he actually confessed by saying God has spoken the truth, that we should follow the creed of Abraham. And according to Quran chapter 3 verse 67, Ibrahim was a Hanif and Muslimah, which means up to standard. He was a correct Muslim. Abraham was not an idol worship. He never worshipped 3-in-1 or Trinity gods.
So it's kind of like this sort of Stockholm syndrome, if I could describe it like that. It's like you're bound to your abuser because, they're like, you, in order to survive as a brown person, you have to, we'll keep you safe. We're part of this unified collective sort of like anti-racism, anti-colonial thing. But within that space, you are subordinate. You are inferior. So you have to obey us. So it's kind of like be part of us, but also do as you're told and accept your subordinate position by default. And if you don't, then there'll be trouble. There was a lot of trouble, and I'm very reluctant to share the information that the experiences that I've had over the years, even though I can like they're thoroughly documented, because I'm worried.
That's why we use words like Ramzan instead of Ramadan.
The Arabization of any culture that's influenced by Islam is really frustrating. We tend to forget that Islam is universal and can be interpreted into any culture. And just because Islam was brought into the Arab culture, the Arab interpretation of it is not the be-all end-all. Just like Neebs mentioned, a really good example is the way that we pronounce words and names. For example, my name in Urdu is pronounced Hira. The R in my name is quite soft and blends with the rest of the name. But time and time again, I have Arab folks who have told me that my name is actually pronounced Hira. There's no hard R or H at the end of my name. And I have been told that I even spell my name wrong and that there should be an H at the end of my name. But that's just not how my name is spelled, and that's just not how we pronounce it. Even though my name has an Arabic origin, that's just not the way that my community pronounces it.
Hey everyone, so I recorded a video and it's uploading, so I don't know if it's gonna fully upload, but I did do an update from Cairo, which is where I'm still. I'm leaving this evening actually. And I wanted to mention that I've realized something really surprising and kind of shocking, which was that people don't know that Arab supremacy extends beyond the Middle East. When you say it, it kind of like sounds obvious that it does, but because we're so repressed from talking about it, because we're not allowed to talk about it, and because Arab white supremacists and fascists, and let's just call them low-key Zionists, okay, Zio-fascists or Zio-Nazis, because they have exactly the same mentality, ideology, way of talking, way of thinking as Zionists, and racist Palestinians included. Unfortunately, all of the things that I've been saying about Arab supremacy has been validated, especially given the fact that most of the people that I'm spending time with are Sudanese. But even my, beloved Sudanese social circle, they've said, yeah, I was surprised. They were surprised. They didn't know that Arab supremacy extends beyond the Middle East, but it does, and specifically towards Bangladeshis and the Bengal, because we're a threat to them, because we're a threat to their authority, we're a threat to their sense of power, we're a threat to, because of so many reasons, and I represent one of those reasons. I encapsulate one of those reasons. So that's why I think it was kind of surprising for me how much actually Sudanese people on social media don't engage with what I'm saying, and that I find that really kind of wrong actually. And I'm not saying I think that's something that they would appreciate if I had a one-to-one conversation with them, but obviously I can't have one-to-one conversations with literally everybody on the planet, so I use social media. But every single Sudanese person I have spoken to has validated, number one, racism towards them, Sudanese people, and then secondly, that they didn't know that that it was something that was happening outside of the Middle East as well. And it really shocked them actually, and I've had nothing but kindness from my friends and extended community here. So yeah, that was the update. The other thing was that generally speaking, here Egyptians have been very welcoming as well, and it's been really lovely. I do think that the diaspora are a bit of a failure and a bit of a fuck up in terms of representation, because they tend to carry a lot of racism for some reason, maybe because when they're in white spaces that makes them more racist, because they want to suck up to white people as a sort of defense mechanism, whatever you want to call it. But then compare that to Zionism, it's not justified, it's not justifiable. And the fact that the same people who are behaving like that are pretending to be anti-Zionist. No, you're not. You're not. You're an Arab supremacist and therefore you're a Zionist. If you're an Arab supremacist and you're a racist, then you are a Zionist. Yeah. I mean, just the vitriol that I get from racist Arabs on here is disgusting. Like, I just think that the people who raised them are just probably supporting the genocide of my people as well. Like, that generation just above us were genocidal, fascists, under this sort of banner of like Arab nationalism, which was the socialist movement, which was, interestingly enough, like coming out at the same time as the civil rights movement, pretty much 60s, 70s, and then evolved into essentially like a fascist ideology. And that's why I think that the political left has veered into fascism for so many reasons, not just like from the political side of things, but also in terms of like things that I'm dealing with on a personal level. The left, I've been within the left for my whole life, but the left has been pretty like hands down like extremely racist, especially within pro-Palestine movements or spaces, whatever you want to call them. So as much as people want to say, oh, they're anti-Semitic, they are a billion times more racist than anti-Semitic. I mean, they are pretty anti-Semitic as well, to be fair, because they expect Jewish people to carry out work that they would never do themselves when it comes to Arab supremacy. So that double standard indicates, even though they like to kiss white backsides, including white Jewish backsides, there's still an element of anti-Semitism there, which I think is really obvious.
حياة الفهد تقصد المصريين في كلامها؟ اطلاقا لا. انا ما ابرر لها، انا والله العظيم اتكلم بالحق وبما يملي علي ضميري. هل تتوقع احنا في الكويت ولا احنا في السعوديه ولا احنا في الامارات راح نساوي عامل بنغالي بعامل مصري؟ اعوذ بالله. هل راح نساوي عامل هندي بأخ من السودان ولا بمصر ولا من أي دولة عربية، إن كان مهندس إن كان دكتور إن كان ميكانيكي إن كان شو ما كان، إطلاقا ولا 1% لا يمكن.
Why you have to say subcontinent question? Question superiority complex. No, it's not a superiority complex, okay? I can turn it around on you and say inferiority complex. It's just an observation, my friend. And I love all my Muslim brothers from the subcontinent and other countries and other cultures and races. It's just an observation because I get a lot of these questions from people from the subcontinent. Yeah, and I know and I understand many of the people from the subcontinent, may Allah bless them and forgive them, they blindly follow the Hanafi madhab. And so they get these questions. And the Hanafi madhab, just like any other madhab, they have some sayings and rulings that are incorrect. They're incorrect. But some of these people, they can't accept that. Oh, no, you have to, we follow the madhab. That's it. I say, but the Prophet ﷺ said otherwise. The Sahaba said otherwise. You follow Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah or the Prophet ﷺ. See, that's a concerning question.